Hi, this is Noma Dimitri from the Alpine Garden, and today I'm going to show you how to deadhead your peonies. And here they are, the peonies. They're huge, as you can see from the size of next to my hand. They're huge, they're blossomed, and they're beautiful. And what I'm gonna do in this video, as I do in my other videos that you might have seen, deadheading your lilies, your tulips, and everything else, is I'm not gonna give you one of these 1, 2, 3 videos because from my experience, every time you do that, people come back and they say, but why did you say to do this and whatever? Because actually gardening is not about being an automaton and following instructions, but it's more about understanding what the plant needs and what the plant needs to do and what you need to do to help it so that it can come back every year and look gorgeous and please you and please itself. Look at these. These are wonderful, and I will tell you all the tricks you need to do to have such wonderful peonies yourself. So that's what we're going to do. Before we do that, look at the size of this one. It's white on the outside, and inside it has a center that's full of oranges and reds. So I'm going to tell you a few things about the plant itself and how it works. And by the way, this is a small bud. It's about the size of a ping pong ball. That's what they look like when they first open. And then the next stage is they look like this. They are kind of contained in a mass, and then the bigger they get, the more they get completely crazy. And then when they get really big, before you are about to deadhead them, they start having a second inflorescence in the middle, like they're having a new bud in the middle, so they make another mini flower in the middle. And then finally, when they're ready to go, which is when what we're gonna get to, is when they get to this level, okay, where they're starting to basically die out, okay. That's when you deadhead them. So we're gonna go through all this in detail so that you know what to do, when to do it, why you're doing it. The most important thing is why are you doing it, and so that you have a comprehensive understanding of this process so that you can have beautiful peonies every time. So the first thing to understand is where peonies come from and what where they're coming from looks like. You're familiar with tulips, and you know most likely that tulips are a bulb, and you know that a bulb looks something like an onion. Okay, so you know that with a tulip you put the bulb, which looks like an onion, which is basically the concentrated energy of the tulip. That's been its battery, it's the base part of it that's alive, basically. You know that they get planted deep in the ground. They spend the winter there, they spend the snow, the ice, everything. They're the peonies. Look how pretty they are. I planted them next to this little lake that we have here. And so just as you come out to the little beach, here they are. But I have other ones that are pink and different colors. So in the case of tulips, you have a bulb, you put it in the earth, it spends a brutal winter, and then suddenly, by magic, at some point in the spring, boom, something comes out, it's a green leaf, and then this thing grows, and all of a sudden there's a tulip, it looks beautiful, boom. You're all familiar with this. Peony is a little different, but it's the same idea, because the battery, the heart of the plant, is not a bulb, is not something that looks like an onion, but it's something different. Let's forget about what it's called. It's something different, and it looks like a ginger, basically. It looks kind of like a ginger root. That ginger root you probably will, if you either bought your peony in a pot with already flowers and leaves and you paid a lot of money for it, or you bought this particular ginger root, this dead looking thing that you're supposed to put into the earth, and it's supposed to come back to life at some point in the spring, as you do with the bulb and the tulip. So I'm assuming one or the other is the case for you. If it's the case of the deadish thing called the ginger that looks like ginger, then you got the peonies like I did. They're much cheaper. But you have to kind of believe that they will indeed come back, and something will come. It's important to do it this way because what's going to happen to these peonies over here is that effectively at some point after they finish flowering, I deadhead them. At some point, the whole thing, the whole plant that you see, this whole tall thing with leaves and stems and everything else, this whole thing, at some point by the fall or maybe even in the middle of the summer, is going to die. And there's going to be nothing you can see. You'll say, where's my peony? And your peony will no longer be there. There'll be nothing. There'll just be earth. What will be left is the ginger-like thing, the basic body of the plant, of the peony, which will stay underground. It'll pass all the fall, all the winter, the snow, the rain, whatever have you. And then in the spring, just like with a tulip, as if by miracle, the whole thing will come out. A little leaf first will come out, then the thing will start climbing, and then you'll end up having something that looks like this plant with the leaves and the stems, and then at some point it'll make something that looks like a little ping pong ball, which is this, okay? And then this ping pong ball will open, you'll have the flowers, and then the cycle will repeat again and again. So what basically I'm saying is that the plant itself goes through two stages. One stage above ground, where it's visible, and one stage that's only below ground and it's invisible to you. During those cold months, during those months where there's no leaves, like right now, these are the leaves, there's no leaves and there's no photosynthesis, so the thing has nothing to eat. All its food is stored inside this ginger-like root. Okay, so it's very important that you take care of this ginger-like root in the way that I will tell you, so that next year you'll have enough energy, so come next spring it will give you your peonies again. Okay, so what goes on is during the rest of these flowers are going to come out, they're going to eventually wilt. I will deadhead them. The rest of the plant, the leaves and the stems will stay there. I will not touch them, I will not destroy them. That's not part of the deadheading. I will let them there because they will suck through photosynthesis, like you're charging through a photovoltaic cell a battery. They will charge the ginger thing that we've never seen, that is underground, that's how we started. And that thing will have enough battery power inside it to survive the winter and power a new peony plant next spring. Okay, so now you understood the whole life cycle of the plant. Now I'm going to tell you why do we have to deadhead? The flower, as I said, wilts, and if it wilts, it's going to fall off. So why do I bother to deadhead? It's exactly for the same reason as I just told you, is that you want to give maximum power to this battery, to this ginger-like root underneath, underground. And so why does the flower take away power? The reason is that flowers always end up making some kind of seed, some kind of fruit or some kind of seed, okay, to propagate. And the creation from the flower to the seed is a process which takes a lot of energy. It's basically raising a child. Okay, so the peony itself, left to its own devices, it's gonna let this flower wilt. When the flower gets fertilized, when the bee or the insect goes there and fertilizes the flower, this flower will start producing some kind of fruit and some kind of seed. Okay, it won't be a fruit like an apple, but it's going to be some kind of fruiting structure that will hold in the seeds for the next generation. You want to stop that. This is why you deadhead. You deadhead because this process will tire the ginger root, the battery, and you'll waste force, and you will have less successful plants the year afterwards. So this is why we deadhead. That's the only reason. Okay, so if you've been listening, then you understand that when I deadhead, I only want to cut the flower off, not any part of the green. So deadheading, now that you understand the why and the how and everything else, I will show you how simple it is to deadhead. It's absolutely nothing. You come here to this flower that's ready to be deadheaded, you take your scissors, you don't need anything, you put it right underneath, right underneath where the flower touches the thing, and you just cut it right here, snap, and it's gone. And you leave the stem, and you leave the rest of the leaves and the rest of the plant completely undisturbed, because that is your photovoltaic cell that's going to charge the battery and do it. So that's all you need to understand about deadheading, okay? Many people come back to me after my videos and they ask me, but what about the seeds? Why don't I want the seeds? If I have the seeds, then I can have all these new peonies and for free. So why not have them? Why not do it? And this is a little complicated. So if you want to know that why, I will tell you right now. But if you only wanted to know how to deadhead, you've heard it. So go on with your life. Now I'm going to talk to those of you that want to know, why don't I want the seeds? The reason I don't want the seeds is because of something called hybridization, but you don't have to worry about the terms. Basically, humans have been messing around with these plants for a long, long time. The first peony, the original peony from nature, did not have a huge flower like this, which is the size of my hand, okay? It did not have. It had a small little shitty individual flower. But humans, through time and effort, they chose the best ones, the ones with the characteristics they wanted the most, like the most sweet-smelling rose, for example, in this case, the most spectacular-looking flower for the peony, and they interbred them until the point they got these amazing varieties that usually have names like Maria Callas or Brigitte Bardot, whatever it is. Usually famous women, or like fruits, or Tangerine Dream, or whatever, what have you. They always have these names. And so they bred them for particular kind of characteristics like color and size of flower and the whole thing. These interbred flowers do not come, because they're hybrid, they do not come, as they say in gardening, true to seed. That means that their seed does not necessarily have the capacity to generate the same kind of flower as the mother plant. Basically, for you, if I let this flower mature and I collect the seeds and I plant them, number one, I may get absolutely nothing, but the chances that I will get a beautiful plant like this are very, very small. More likely I will get some kind of bizarre ancestor of the flower, of the plant, that of a peony, that doesn't look that good at all. So given the fact that I won't get nice flower, I won't get nice plants from these seeds, and the fact that making these seeds will cost my mother plant a lot of energy to make, and therefore I'll have a weaker plant next year, it's not a good idea to collect and plant these seeds, okay? Now, people come back to me and they say, but I really would like to have some more peonies, and they're for free. And my response to that, yes, there is a way, there's a surefire way you can get more of these peonies for free, but it doesn't have to do with seeds. There's a different trick, and that's the trick that I can tell you now if you're interested to hear this one. The trick is to split the ginger, okay? That means that instead of getting the seeds, which means a genetically different plant, inferior than this one, I can get the genetically identical plant as this one. So basically, this one exactly its twin, its genetic identical twin, by going down there, digging a little bit, getting the ginger, cutting a piece of it and putting it in the ground. Yeah, it's as simple as that, okay? And that'll give me a brand new peony. There's only one trick about this, which is you cannot do it in the spring or the summer because you do not want to disturb this photovoltaic process where the ginger is being nourished right now by these leaves and by these stems through the power of the sun. You don't want to touch that process. But when the whole plant is completely dead in the fall, when I say dead means worse than yellow, completely fallen, like falling apart, completely trash. When it's at this level, then you can dig in there, find the ginger, cut a piece, and then take it and put it in a pot and put it in another place in the garden, plant it in, and then you will have a brand new peony that you're guaranteed will make the same kind of plant, the same kind of flowers as this one. So that is the way to get free peonies instead of through this process and not through seeds. So that answers that particular question. One final point that you should know, if you notice, I have staked these plants. That means I have bamboo poles and little strings between the plants, okay? Why have I done that, and why should you do that? Because as we said, humans have bred these things for their looks, okay? But the looks are so excessive that the stems of these plants are often not strong enough to hold on the weight, the amazing weight of this flower, this heavy flower. Especially when it rains. When it rains, all this water ends up being trapped inside the petals, and this thing becomes very heavy and it can snap. So my advice to you is to stake these plants, to stick some bamboo poles and some ropes to tie them up together, as I have done here. You can see all these little tiny ropes and whatever, and they're all biodegradable, so I don't even have to pick them up. I can just let them rot in the garden, so that you don't have your peonies touching the ground or being broken, especially during the spring when they come out and the weather is all whatever. That's all it is. It's a little bit of a long video, but now you understand all the whys and hows of what you should do to have gorgeous peony year after year, and also more and more year after year. Happy gardening. Noma Dimitri.